Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Welcome to the show, y'all. Look here, man. When you catch a case, your whole life is going to change. Period. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. I remember, man, when I first caught my case, I was like in shock. Now, don't get it twisted. I knew I was doing wrong and all of those types of things. I'm talking about when they put you in that jail cell. When they put you in that jail cell, it does something to your mind. It's almost like you take an animal that's used to running free. I'm not talking about consequences, okay? But you take an animal that's used to running free and then you put them in this limited space and tell them that this is it. This is as far as you go from here on out. To go anywhere, you got to ask somebody else. You got to get permission to do this, permission to do that. It's a total change of the way you have been used to living your life. And it's traumatic. And it does something to your mind. And when you're in that county jail, right, one of the first things that they do when they book you in, they look you over and they try to check you out, and after a couple of days, they'll make a decision, right, that sometimes you might need to be under observation a little bit more than the rest of the people that were there, right? Especially if you're a first timer. They watch you. Sometimes they'll even put you on suicide watch to make sure that you won't hurt yourself. Because they don't want you to hurt yourself so you can get away from standing up and dealing with these charges that you got coming, right? So a lot of times people in the county jail, they try to figure out ways to get out of the cases. They don't want to face that. So they'll say, look here, I'm going to put it to you like this. When I was in the county jail, it was this guy that had been in and out of prison, man. And you usually have situations like that because you got people coming back and forth from court that are at the county jail with a lot of people that are new, and they're giving them advice and opinions about different types of things. And let me tell you something. You got some people that are in and out of jail and prison, they sour. They don't mean you no good. So they'll tell you one of the easiest things you can do to beat your case, no matter what it is, whether you got murder, drugs, kidnapping, it don't matter. They'll say, tell them you mental, right? Tell them you're going to hurt yourself. Tell them you're going to do something, you know what I'm saying, to somebody else. Tell them you're hearing voices. Tell them you're losing it, right? And what they're going to do is they're going to pay a little bit close attention to you. Now, see, that's what this story is about. This story is about Jack, right? Now, see, Jack, he caught some violent charges. He had a whole list of charges, right? There's more than I care to even mention, right? But I'm going to give you 2 or 3 of them. He had a murder, attempted murder, carjacking, they caught with some drugs, guns, scales, all kinds of stuff in the car. Evading arrests, tried to run over the police. I mean, I could go on and on and on. This dude, hey, look here. It was all over the place. It was all over the news. And when they drug him out the police car, when they drug him out of his car, because he flipped his car trying to get away from him, right? When they drug him out the car, he looked like he was gone because he had hair all wild looking. He had grass in his hair and his eyes were big and bulging and all this and that, and he was just acting all erratic and whatnot. So when the media, I don't know how they got there as fast as they did, but when the media showed him on the news at the scene and his mugshot, he looked like he was losing it, had already lost it, didn't know what was going on with him. So immediately people at the county jail and they seen him on the news, man, dude crazy, right? So it just happens to be at that same time, there was a dude at the county jail that he was back from prison fighting his case. He had an appeal, right? You got to go to court. So when you got an appeal on your case, they bring you back to the county that you're in, then they take you to court and so on and so forth, and then they take you back, right? But see, this dude, he was one of them dudes that always like to get into people's heads, especially new buddies, want to shake them up. That way, if he ever run into him later on down the line in the penitentiary, he can use them or manipulate them or whatever the case may be. You feel me? Some people in here play the long game. Y'all try to follow me now. Now check this out. Another thing that happens is this. When you go see your lawyer, the lawyer they'll tell you, they'll ask you what's going on with the case and as far as what happened and all this. And they want the facts, right? They want the facts. And they'll ask you, is there anything in your family history that would help explain the way you're acting and all these different types of things, right? They'll ask you all kinds of questions. And this guy, he hadn't been appointed an attorney yet. So the dude that was back from the penitentiary was telling Jack, he said, look, it's what you do, man. Now, let me make sure you understand something. Ain't nothing wrong with Jack. Ain't nothing wrong with him. You understand what I'm saying? He just don't want to be in the penitentiary. He don't want to be held accountable for what he did. He don't want to face that. He's like that stallion that's all of a sudden caught by the rancher and they about to put a saddle on him. He don't want no saddle put on him. So he's panicking. He's panicking. And along comes somebody that says, I'm going to free you. I'm going to help you get free. And he told Jack, the dude from the penitentiary, told Jack, he said, look here. When you go up in that courtroom, you act like you're hearing voices. Act like you're hearing voices. And just look around and just keep looking around. And every time the judge asks you something, you answer his question halfway, but then you talk to the person next to you, not your lawyer. It's just a person that you say you see. So when Jack went up into the courtroom, he tripping. He's screaming, hollering, they dragging him up in there, and the judge is like, what's going on? All this is preliminary. You feel what I'm saying? When they bring you up in there and they read the charges to you and all this, they ask you how you plead and all this and that, point you an attorney and all that kind of stuff, getting the ball rolling. So Jack, he looking crazy. Ain't washed his face that morning. He wants to go up in there and look like he needs help. Because if you need help, they're going to do some things for you. Now, pay attention. So he goes up and he's doing all this stuff, right? And the lawyer that's about to be appointed to him is standing next to him, and he's looking at him, and he looks at the judge. He said, Your Honor, before we go any further, you know what I'm saying? And then the judge makes sure everything is official and appoints him to the case. He asked the judge, he said, look, it's quite obvious that my client is suffering from some kind of issue. May we get a mental evaluation to see if he's going to be able to participate in his defense. And what they mean by that is, when you catch a case, the minimum standard is that you got to be able to participate in your defense. You got to be able to understand the charges against you. You got to be able to tell the lawyer what's really going on. And if you're mental, you're not going to be able to understand what's going on with your case. You're not going to be able to understand the gravity of the charges that you got. You're not going to be able to understand any of that. And see, Jack had been schooled by this dude from the penitentiary on how to act and what to do. So the judge looks at Jack and he says, I think we need to get him an evaluation. So he reads off some things and says this and that and makes sure everything is official. And he tells the lawyer that, the clerk is going to make arrangements. And in the meantime, in between time, his client will stay in jail with no bond until they understand what's going on. And then they'll proceed with the case or not. Now, Jack is listening to all of this, right? He acting like he don't understand what's going on, but he understood every single word that the judge was saying. Now he gets back down to the county jail, and he's walking around. Now he's got to amp it up. This is something that a lot of people are not aware of. See, they're going to be watching him now, because he didn't show any signs of this before he went to court. And the people at the jail, they talk to those people at the courthouse. They telling the judge and all this, the sheriffs, the deputy sheriffs down there, they telling the judge and the lawyers and all. We don't know what happened. Now, don't get me wrong. It's possible that a person could have a mental break. The pressure gets to them, and they just like it. Next thing you know, it ain't nothing working right. You understand what I'm saying? I get it. But this situation was a little different. So Jack, he back at the jail, and they got him locked down in the cell. They watching him and all. They still let him come out, but they got him locked in the cell while he's acting all erratic. And the dude from the penitentiary go by the cell, and he's standing at the cell. He's talking to him. He said, "How'd it go?" And Jack looked at him. He said, "Man, it went good, man. They said they're gonna give me a mental evaluation." And then the dude from the penitentiary tell him, he said, "Look, this is what you need to do now. Pay attention to what I'm trying to tell you now, because you won't get out of the penitentiary. You won't get out of jail. You want to go to penitentiary. You're gonna be straight." And he said, "And you're gonna get a check. You're gonna get one of them mental checks." So dude was like, yeah, I'm listening to you. Well, go ahead, go on, tell me what to do. He said, now, what you gonna have to do, you have to amp it up a little bit. So you're gonna have to amp it up. These folks gonna have to think you will do anything to get out your case. You feel what I'm saying? Not to get out of the case. I'm going a little too fast. But they gotta believe that you'll do anything, you know what I'm saying? Because when you mental, it ain't no boundaries on what you'll do and how you act. The way that a person without mental health issues will act is totally different, right? So he gave him a couple of examples of what he need to do, right? And then he get on down. Now the next shift come in, right? They tell the first shift tell the second shift, you know, what's going on with the people on the floor and all this and that, right? So they tell him, watch Jack. He went to court today. It's kind of hard on him. They got to hold him for a few days, and then they're going to transfer him to a mental health facility to get an evaluation. But in the meantime, between time, watch him, right? But he can still come out. So the officer walks by, you know, after he do all his paperwork, and he asks Jack, how you doing today, man? All this and that. And Jack just standing on the door looking at him, crazy, just staring at him. He said, I'm going to let you out after chow so you can walk around and stretch your legs and all this and that, right? And when he says that, he means the 4:30 chow, right? The afternoon chow, right? Because we eat kind of early, you know what I'm saying? So Jack shook his head, nodded his head like, yeah, but he didn't say nothing, right? He walks around in the city, just pacing the floor, right? He's trying to figure out which route is going to be best for him to take because dude told him some real crazy stuff, and I'm going to share that with you in a few minutes, right? So he walking around trying to figure out what he's going to do, how he going to try to convince these folks that he really gone, right? Because he know at this point, they're writing everything down. They're watching him. Everybody's watching. The cameras is on him. They watching everything. So he got to put on. You feel me? He got to put on. So we get in the cell, right? Get in the cell. Now, the officer makes his round, but he goes back to the booth and he'll be upstairs and stuff. He come down every now and then. But he's watching everybody on the camera that's in the booth, and he's looking out the window to make sure, you know, everything is straight, you know, because people be doing all kinds of stuff, right? But he got his eyes on Jack. They got him in the cell where he watched 24/7, right? So Jack in the cell, he's taking all his clothes off, right? And he goes to the toilet, right? Goes to the toilet. He starts dumping all his clothes in the toilet, and he's getting them real wet, right? Like he's washing them. You know, he over like he's washing them and stuff. You know how people washing their clothes by hand, you scrub and all this, and the clothes against each other, trying to get the dirt off. He's doing that, right? Then when he finished doing that, he put the clothes back on, soaking wet. All right, don't sound too bad. You feel what I'm saying? Don't sound too bad. But he got this orange jumpsuit on. It's soaking wet, dripping wet. You feel what I'm saying? And then he walking back and forth. Then he started doing push-ups. Don't sound too bad, do it. Don't sound too bad at all, right? But he know they watching. And then when he finished working out after about 30 minutes, he take off the jumpsuit. Then he get in the sink. He got his soap. He soap up and he lather up and he put it all over his body. Don't sound too bad, do it. He put this soap all over his body, head, everything, and he don't rinse off, right? He don't rinse off. Now he walking around the cell, he's drying, the soap drying up on him. Now he got this white film all over his body. He got this white film all over his body, right? Looking like some kind of character in a movie. You understand? Looking crazy. And then, like I say, he naked. He ain't got on no clothes now, y'all. And then he starts to squat down like a monkey. And start jumping up and down, ooh, 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 hollering like this back and forth. And now they watching him on the camera. They're also watching him on the camera. So he called the sheriff. He said, look, y'all might need to get up here and watch this, right? See what's going on. So the sheriff come up to the floor on the second floor. He come up and they looking at the camera. They see Jack in there. He looked like some kind of African monkey, you know, like he the white and gray and black. Is like it's the soap done made him look like he just like crazy, like he got ash all over him. Let's put it that way, right? I don't know if y'all ever seen the movie Tarzan, but see, some of the characters in Tarzan, they had this white paint all over them. They African, but they got this white paint all over, and I don't know what that was about, but that's about how like Jack looked, right? That's how he looked, and he in the cell and he moving around like a monkey. He done start squatting, he crawling around and jumping around, and he doing all that, and he scratching his arms and smelling his arms and all that. Don't sound too bad, do it. Don't sound too bad. You feel me? But here, check this out. This is where I don't know where he got this from. I'm talking about the nerve to do it, what I'm about to tell you. I don't know where he got this from. I don't. But he walking around and he coughing. Like his throat done got dry. So, you know, in some of the places that I've been, you know, they give you a cup, right? Sometimes they give you a styrofoam cup. Sometimes it's like a tumbler, right? So he got a tumbler. He find his tumbler. And he goes to the sink and he hit the button, you know, got the button you put, hit the button and fill it up with water. And you think he finna drink the water, but he don't. He shake the cup and he clean the cup out, right? Because it might have had some dust or something in it. And then he stands right, he's still naked now. He stands at the toilet and he pisses in the cup, right? And then he sniffs it. He sniffs the cup and he puts it up to his mouth and he take a sip. Oh, Lord. I don't know where he got the nerve to do it. He took a sip, and then after he took that first sip, it was almost like, I'm all in now. And he downed it. He just pissed in that and he downed it, right? Hot, pissing, foaming. And you could see the foam and the bubbles on his lip, and he wiped his mouth. Now, a couple of dudes, these cells at the county jail, they're not solid doors. They look like screen doors, basically, right? And you could see inside of the cells, right? So it was two dudes that were sitting outside the cell watching TV, but they watching Jack now. This is more entertaining than anything on TV. They watching him. So they walk over there to him, right? One of them is an old head. He back from the penitentiary too. He walk over and he say, hey, brother, you all right? Because they just seen what he just did, right? He ain't trying to hide it. He wants an audience. He get on there, he walk up to the door and he's whispering something to him, right? But they can't make out what he's saying. Talking real, real low. It's almost like he didn't want them to understand what he was saying, right? But they kept on putting their ear up to the door, trying to hear. Say it again, brother. What you talking about? What you saying? And then when they get up all the way on the door there, he yell at them, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Get away from me. Get away from me. I don't know you. Get away from me. So they lean back, and both of them, like I say, one of them is an old head, but the other dude, he been in and out of county jail all his life. They laugh at him. They say, all right. They tell him, keep playing with these folks. These folks ain't playing with you, bro. So the dude that just schooled him, right, he finds his way over to the cell. And he talking to Jack. And he telling Jack, man, you doing good, man. Keep it up, right? They gonna come in here, man. They gonna have to deal with you, man. You ain't going to the penitentiary. You gonna get up out of here and you gonna get you a check. So Jack turned around. He ain't really want to put on that, you know, he's paying any attention to him, right? Because like I said, they watch him. So Jack turned around, come back in the cell, and now still naked. He lay down on this mattress. You know, got these green mattresses, right? They hard, they flat, but they lay on top of a piece of concrete or a metal bed. But at the county jail, it was a concrete slab. So he just lay there, lay flat on that, on his back, looking straight up at the ceiling, bucket naked. Got this white soap all over him, you know what I'm saying, looking like a ghost or something. You feel what I'm saying? And he just drunk some piss. Now, I don't know what's going through his mind. I don't know what he's thinking, right? But he got to keep putting on until he leaves. It's going to be 3-4 days before he leaves. But he got to keep putting on. Because if he don't, he going to the penitentiary. He going to go to court, face them charges, and they going to lock his butt up. He ain't trying to be locked up. Now, I want you to understand something. Your mindset is different when you get put in here, especially for those of you that say you with it, right? You about this life. Nah. Your mindset gonna change, man, because when you lose your freedom, you're gonna want it more than ever. And you'll do anything to get it. And I know you're sitting out there saying, listening to this right now, saying, I ain't doing that. Well, I'm gonna tell you. Get desperate enough. And then don't tell me what you won't do. Get desperate enough. I know y'all probably thinking, Joe T, you sound like you might have done that. Well, if you want to know what I done and what I ain't done, you're going to have to tune into the next episode when I finish this story, okay? Come on back, y'all. There's been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.